Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and Patreon. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe, like, comment, review, whatever you need to, guys. And then jump on over to the Facebook group, Twitter account, and dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. Join in the discussion, guys. Well, it is a lovely Monday evening here in Austin, Texas, guys. If you're listening to this, it's probably Tuesday by now. I had a rare moment where I could come home after work and actually record a show because my wife and daughter are at Girl Scouts. So I had some time. I wanted to come and do this because I haven't had time to do it. I wanted to do a show this weekend, and honestly, I'm glad I didn't because there's something that popped up today that I really want to talk about, and I know you know what I want to talk about. So first, let's start off with kind of the big story of the day, which is the Morbius trailer. That's right, the Spider-Man villain got his own movie starring Jared Leto. The director of this film is Daniel Espinosa, who's most known for directing films like Life with Jake Gyllenhaal and Ryan Reynolds, and also Safe House with Denzel Washington and Ryan Reynolds. Now, this is the first trailer we got from the film, and for those of you who don't know, it is a Sony picture set in the Spider-Man world, I guess you would say. On IMDb, the summary is, quote, biochemist Michael Morbius tries to cure himself of a rare blood disease, but he inadvertently infects himself with a form of vampirism instead. Now, I've never been a big fan of the character, which is weird because I'm a big fan of vampires, but he's never been a big Spider-Man villain in my eyes. Really, the only way I know him is through the 90s Spider-Man animated show, which he was hunted down by Blade, the vampire hunter. And one of my friends actually, after seeing this trailer, actually thought about the fact that Blade might be hunting him down one day. Can't say I dislike that theory, but anyway, this was the first trailer. Now, this is a Sony production, but the real meat of it is how it connects to the MCU. So first, I'm going to talk about the trailer itself and what this film could be or how it could be. Again, not a big fan of the character himself, so I wasn't super excited. It was another Sony production, and I very much disliked Venom. I pretty much hated Venom, actually, so I've made my feelings about that movie very well documented. And this was the next one Sony was going to do after Venom. I wasn't looking forward to it, but this trailer, I gotta say, leave the little Easter eggs out just for a minute, was pretty cool. I mean, it had a totally different vibe than what Venom is. Venom was so goofy, that's what pissed me off about it. But this one was very serious, kind of dark, very horrific as well. And I digged it. You know, Jared Leto is a good actor, and the serious take on this, the way it's coming together, I really enjoyed this trailer. Not to say that, you know, the film's going to be amazing, because it still could be crap, or it could be the best film of the year. I don't know until we see it, but the trailer itself made me want to see the film more. Considering I wasn't looking forward to the film that much, I'd say it did its job. Now, here's the real question. For those of you who have not seen the trailer, pause for a sec, go online, hop on YouTube, hop on the Facebook group or the Twitter account, watch the trailer real quick, because it's going to be, I don't want to say spoilers, but very Easter egg-ish. There are two scenes or two shots in this trailer that everyone is talking about. And the first shot is with Jared Leto's character, Michael, walking down an alley. And in the background, you see a portrait of Spider-Man that says murderer. Okay? Then at the very end, there's a shot, I don't know, I think it's an editing trick, but Michael is walking with a hood over his head, and you hear Michael Keaton's voice. And he does something, paraphrasing here, being like, tired of being a good guy? Wow. Okay. I mean, what this says, because now my head's a-fluttering. I think a lot of people are fluttering. Is this Sony messing with us, giving us these little pieces of the MCU. Obviously, Michael Keaton playing Vulture in the current rendition of Spider-Man's characters in the MCU. And then the portrait with Spider-Man saying murder on it refers to the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, when Mysterio has convinced the world that he was murdered by Spider-Man, and J. Jonah Jameson is calling him out on it. These little things right here make us fanboys believe that this film is going to be set in the MCU. Now, this is kind of weird because what we learned was, it was what, several months ago, 6 months ago, something like that, negotiations between Sony and Marvel had broken down as far as continuing their relationship of sharing Spider-Man. Because remember, Sony still has the rights to make Spider-Man movies. They are just letting Marvel help produce them and letting him be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I think is safe to say everyone is happy about how that's going. It's going great. But when it came to renew the deal, Disney/Marvel wanted a bigger piece of the pie. Sony thought that it was too much, and so they decided to walk away. Now, you can say several rumors about what happened, or, who crossed the line, or if Tom Holland himself got involved, but they brokered a new deal. And I'm not sure about the specifics of it, but I know it has to do with the fact that Marvel and Sony were going to make 2 more films with Spider-Man as a part of the MCU. Whether they were going to renegotiate after that, nobody knows, but they at least agreed to 2 more films. So 1 more Spider-Man film, and then maybe an Avengers film perhaps. I myself, as some people thought, this is the way for them to get Spider-Man out of the MCU. You can't just immediately drop him after Spider-Man Far From Home, after that big cliffhanger. You got to find some way to get him out of the MCU. And I think those 2 films was going to be their way of doing that, giving him back to Sony and allowing them to just, get on with Spider-Man without the help of Marvel. A lot of people were really upset about it, of course. I have enjoyed Spider-Man in the MCU. I would like to keep him in the MCU. But if he was not in the MCU, I wouldn't be totally destroyed by it. Because critically, the 2 best well-made Spider-Man films, Spider-Man 2 by Sam Raimi, and then the animated Spider-Man, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, had nothing to do with Marvel Studios or the MCU. So, again, they've had quite a few bad Spider-Man movies, but they've done quite a few good ones as well. So, again, we know they can do good with or without Marvel. So, again, it was of my belief that 2 movies and that was it. Okay, done. But this kind of sets it up like maybe it's not. Because if Morbius is in this, and say this film does well, they're going to want to do a sequel. And there was rumors that they, this was going to be part of the Sonyverse, where it might connect to Venom as well. People, of course, wanted Venom to connect to Spider-Man and the MCU. There was no indication that it did. There's rumors, of course, Tom Holland possibly to be in Venom 2. It's just, at this point, one big question mark. And this trailer has now got everyone stirring as to the future of Spider-Man with the MCU. I mean, honestly, I don't really care, about Morbius being in the MCU or not. This affects the bigger spectrum of Spider-Man in the MCU, or Spider-Man characters in the MCU. That's what's got me talking about this trailer. Sure, the Morbius looks cool. Looks damn better than what Venom did. But the bigger story here is, what is this saying about Spider-Man and his future in the MCU? I don't know. I mean, is Sony just playing with us? Or, again, does it connect? I feel like it's got to be something, somewhere down the way, maybe they decided to keep their deal, and, maybe in Venom 2 we will see Tom Holland. Now, this film comes out, let's see here, in July, end of July, July 31st, and then also later this year we get Venom 2, October 2nd. That's really going to be, we're not going to really know, of course, till we actually see Morbius, what kind of connection it's going to have to the MCU, and possibly an Easter egg or a teaser at the end in a connection to the next Venom film. Honestly, again, it's it's too vague to really say. I mean, from this trailer, it looks like it possibly could be a connection to the MCU. Now, if you hop over to IMDb and look at the cast list, Michael Keaton is listed in the cast, but he's unnamed. What this also says to me is, with the characters we've gotten in the MCU so far, Vulture, Shocker, Mysterio, now we got Morbius, another one, the guy who's going to be Scorpion. It seems like, Michael Keaton's character would possibly be setting up a group for a Sinister Six. Makes sense. Someone to take on Spider-Man. Okay. In which case, maybe he's trying to recruit Morbius. But then I thought about it. Okay. And he said, "What's up, Doc?" Or something like that. We're saying the word Doc. Okay. Also on IMDb, Jared Harris, who seems to be like a mentor character to Jared Leto's character, Michael, in this, is unlisted as well. One of the classic Sinister Six characters is Lizard, aka Dr. Connors. What if Jared Harris is who Michael Keaton's character Vulture is trying to recruit? And what if that's why his character on IMDb is unlisted? I mean, they're trying to hold out for something. You don't list an actor and don't list his character unless you're trying to hide something. Again, it's a stretch, but that's my theory. My theory is, if this all does connect to the MCU, and that last part at the end there is Michael Keaton trying to recruit someone into his little gang, perhaps, I think it's a switcheroo. I don't think, through editing, I don't think it is Michael. I think it's Jared Harris, and I think it's because he's Dr. Connor, a.k.a. the Lizard. It's a wild theory that is probably totally, completely not in the realm of possibilities, but that's my crazy, tinfoil hat theory. We'll see if it pans out. Tell me your theories, guys. Okay, let me know what you think about the Morbius trailer. What do you think about the film in general? But also, of course, what do you think? Do you think Sony's messing with this? Do you think it really will be connected to the MCU? Do you think this, says good things about the future between Sony and Marvel, the future of Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And what do you think of my tinfoil hat theory that Jared Harris, the reason he's not listed as a character on IMDb is because he's playing Dr. Connors, aka the Lizard? Let me know. Okay, guys, so sticking with trailers, a couple days ago we got a new trailer for the upcoming Birds of Prey film starring Margot Robbie returning as Harley Quinn. Now, I have not been a big fan of this film, mainly because I feel like Harley Quinn, who is a popular character in some circles, is the wrong person to put front and center. If you tell me, hey, we're making a Birds of Prey film, I'm like, great. Black Canary, Huntress, Oracle, maybe Batgirl in there. That's cool. They're interesting characters. That sounds like a good way to go, for a film. And then they're like, oh, by the way, we're throwing Harley Quinn in there. I immediately, as soon as they said that, I'm like, well, fuck. There goes the fucking. Sorry for my language, I know. But I knew immediately as they said they were going to put her in there as Harley Quinn, it was going to be a Harley Quinn film. And everything that I've seen so far is exactly what I believed was going to happen, where she's going to be front and center in a Birds of Prey film, and the Birds of Prey are not going to get hardly any screen time or any character development. That's my theory. Now, you do have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. You got Journey Smollett Bell. I know I said her name wrong, but Friday Night Lights alumni, gotta love her. She's Black Canary. You got Rosie Perez, great actress, as Renee Montoya. And then you also have a newcomer, Ella J. Bosco, as Cassandra Cain, who in the comics goes on to be Batgirl, or a new version of Batgirl with that. So the trailer came out, and again, it's just kind of restocking my theory that it's, Harley Quinn. She gets this group of girls together because they all have something against the main villain, Black Mask, aka Ewan McGregor. And I have no problem with the character of Harley Quinn. I'm actually quite surprised how much I like the Harley Quinn animated show that's on DC Universe right now. It's really funny, very, very tongue-in-cheek. It's a lot of laughs. If you haven't checked it out, I recommend it. I have nothing against the character of Harley Quinn except for, dissection wise, she's, a smart person, a psychiatrist who got manipulated by the Joker, and abusive relationship, all that. But if you want to make a Harley Quinn, make a Harley Quinn. Don't call it Birds of Prey and make it a Harley Quinn film. Make a Birds of Prey film where Harley Quinn's the villain. Don't make her the leader of the Birds of Prey. It's a disservice to the characters like Huntress, like Cassandra Cain, like Black Canary, like Renee Montoya, to make them these side characters that I have no doubt are going to be sidelined for, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, which, again, I gotta emphasize, I think Margot Robbie is a great actress. I think she does a great job with the character, but she'd be better as a villain in this film or having her own film rather than being front and center Birds of Prey, because that's not what Birds of Prey is about. It's not about Harley Quinn. Sure, these are movies. Comics are one thing. TV is another thing. Say whatever you will, but it's my flavor that you get Birds of Prey that focus on the Birds of Prey because they are good characters that deserve their moment in the spotlight and don't need to be jobbers. Yes, I said jobbers to Harley Quinn. And that's how I feel. That's how this trailer made me feel. I'm going to go see the film. I don't have high hopes for it. But, the general audience, they don't have the same feelings as I do. I get it. So they might walk into this film and just love it. I hope I walk in, I love it. I hope I walk into Morbius and love it. I hope I walk into every film and I love it. But sadly, I fear the worst. But it comes out in a couple weeks and we'll find out then, guys. Fireback, let me know what you think about the new Birds of Prey trailer. Are you excited for this film? Do you share the same feelings as I do? Do you not care? Facebook group, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and of course, the Twitter account. Alright, so I got two more stories to come up with here, guys. Alright, so a couple days ago, we got the big announcement that Scott Derrickson, who directed the first Doctor Strange film and was set to direct Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness that was going to come out next year, has decided to step down. Now, he posted on Twitter, quote, "Marvel and I have mutually agreed to part ways on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness due to creative differences. I am thankful for our collaboration and will remain on as executive producer," or EP, as he said. A lot of people disappointed in this. I know they are. Doctor Strange is one of those characters where I've read some comics. I couldn't get into him. He's not my cup of tea. The movie was okay. I love him in Infinity War and the part he plays. That's great and all, but I'm not a big Doctor Strange fan. But I thought the film was okay, and I was looking forward to this next one because, again, it's the Multiverse of Madness. It sounds like it could be pretty far out there. They were trying to push the horror vibe, or said they were going to a little bit, and the Disney Plus show WandaVision was going to lead directly into Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, having to do, I think, with, Wanda possibly learning more of her powers and maybe Doctor Strange helping her out with that. So now we have no director. According to Variety, the search for Derrickson's replacement is currently underway. I'm sure we'll get something very soon for that. The kind of story here is the fact that, Marvel isn't known for losing directors like this. That's more Star Wars and DC's forte, I guess you would say. The only real director drama they've ever had was Edgar Wright in Ant-Man, but that was because Edgar Wright was working on an Ant-Man film before there ever was an MCU. So by the time they got around to making the Ant-Man one, the MCU had already been formed. It kind of had an image, kind of had solid ground, and the film that Edgar Wright had written and wanted to make didn't fit in, and they parted ways, and they were fine with it. And I feel like this might be something similar to where Scott Derrickson maybe wanted to do something a little different, actual creative differences, and Marvel and Kevin Feige were like, no, we need to do this instead. We need to set up this. We don't need to do this. It's how it is, You're when a director or a writer is in a big franchise like this, you're playing in someone else's sandbox, okay? Kevin Feige and Disney, they're in charge of the sandbox, and you can build your little castles, but if your part of the castle doesn't fit with the entire sandbox castle, they're going to tell you about it, and you're either going to have to change your castle or you're going to have to go another way with it. I don't know why I'm talking about sand castles, but somehow I got there. All right. So this is one of those things where I do think they indeed did split and everyone's okay with it. A lot of times when you say creative differences, usually means something behind the scenes happened, and months, if not years later, we find about that it wasn't creative differences. There was a big drama on set and something happened. But I honestly think because the film is so far away, because Scott Derrickson has worked with the studio before, been with them for several years now, I think, there was just that understanding. He probably wanted to go one way, Marvel wanted to go another, and I hope Derrickson, as a professional, understood that, realized he didn't own Doctor Strange, Marvel does, and said, okay, I'm not the guy for the job, I'm going to walk away, you do your thing. That's what I think happened, and that's all you can do, because I wouldn't envy Marvel Studios right now. They have built something over 11 years now, from Iron Man to Endgame. They built the biggest franchise, probably next to Star Wars, in the world. Right now, you would probably say that the MCU is bigger than Star Wars, in my eyes. I mean, I think it really is the modern Star Wars equivalent as far as big franchises, because they're doing better than what Star Wars is overseas to begin with, okay? And kids are into superheroes. Kids are into the Avengers, My daughter would much rather sit through a Captain America or Spider-Man film than she would Star Wars. Breaks my heart a little bit, but, at least it's something. Anyway, they have reached the top of the mountain. They have the highest grossing film of all time. They have huge hits. Where do you go once you reach the top, right? Some would say all you have to go is down from there. You can't expect every film now to hit $1 billion or $3 billion like Endgame did. It's just not possible. So you have to kind of take a step back, realize what the studio needs to do to grow, not only financially, but also creatively, and assess the situation and move on. Black Widow, while I think will be a successful film, is a much smaller film than what Endgame or any of the Avengers films were. You need to go back, reset. I'm sure Kevin Feige has this all figured out now, so really, you don't need my advice or what I think they should do, because Kevin Feige is way smarter than I am, so he knows what to do. But they need to reset. They need to go back to the beginnings and build it all up again with new characters. You don't have Iron Man anymore. You don't have Captain America. You need to go back, re-establish new characters, ones that the audience can latch on to, and again, just rebuild from there, having already, though, that established trust from the audience, where, the first Phase 1 movies like Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Captain America First Avenger, Thor, they did pretty good, but they weren't the blockbusters that were later down the road, like Civil War, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame, because they spent years building that audience trust that when they walked into the movie of a Marvel studio film, they were at least going to enjoy it, and they were getting their money's worth. Now they've established that. Now they're going to get at least a decent-sized audience. They're going to make at least some money. How much money it'll make, that all depends on the film, but the audience at least is going to come check it out. And now that they have that, I think they can maybe do something a little more experimental, maybe something a little different, show some general audiences something that, they haven't seen. But as long as you keep them entertained, maybe give them a few laughs, I think it'll be okay. And somehow I went from Doctor Strange losing its director to the shape of the MCU. It's madness in which this multiverse of conversation has gone, but that's just how it is, guys. So, okay, fire back, of course. Let me know what you think about Scott Derrickson leaving Doctor Strange. What do you feel? Do you feel it's good, bad? Do you feel like it was just kind of those necessary things? Look at the bigger picture of the MCU. Share your thoughts. I definitely want to know about them. Join in the discussion. All right, and the last thing I'm going to talk about today, guys, is a little story I saw. I was cruising through Twitter, and I saw this link from IGN, and it's about this new Peter Pan series that SyFy is going to do. Now, one thing you may not know about me is when it comes to kind of the older folklores, there are two stories, two legends, whatever you want to call them, that I'm always interested in. Number one is the King Arthur legend. King Arthur, the Knights of the Round Table, anything with King Arthur, I'll usually at least check out because I like kind of that tale. The other one is Peter Pan. Now, if you ask my wife, she thinks I like Peter Pan because it's about a boy who didn't want to grow up, and I have issues, doing that myself, but I think it's only partial to that. Anyway, I like the Peter Pan myth, so I'm a big fan of that. So anyway, SyFy is developing a limited series titled The League of Pan that's going to follow the adventures of Peter, Wendy, and the Lost Boys after they've left Neverland for a little while. Approximately, it says 10 years they've been living on the mainland, and then they have to go back to Neverland. Quote, now grown up and estranged, Wendy Darling and the Lost Boys must return to Neverland to face a new evil that threatens the very existence of the magical place they once called home. Reigniting bitter rivalries and unearthing twisted secrets from the past, the fantastical series explores the painful truths of growing up and the realization that going home is never quite as simple as you think. Seems, I gotta say, I don't know what to think about it. And it's funny because just a couple days ago, I watched the movie Hook with Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman. Great film. I remember seeing it as a kid about what happened if Peter Pan grew up. Also, I'm a big fan of, there's a book series called Peter and the Starcatchers. And I think there's 4 books, I believe. It's just kind of a reinterpretation of the Peter Pan myth, but the way they tell it is really cool. I really enjoy it. And then, of course, you have the old Disney cartoon, which I own and really enjoy. But again, I'm just a big fan of the myth. I didn't like the movie Pan. That one wasn't a good one. And then there's a SyFy version too that they had. And then years ago, there was another live action one with, what's the guy from... I can't remember his name. Played Malfoy, Lucius Malfoy. I don't remember. Anyway, it was a movie years ago, a live action Peter Pan. Anyway, let me circle back around before I get lost in the Multiverse of Madness again. This could be interesting. Because I'm a fan of the Peter Pan myth, I am interested in this. Now, 10 years later, if they leave Neverland, they grow up a little bit, 10 years, you're talking probably, early 20s, late teens maybe, because I think they're supposed to be around 10 years old maybe in the Peter Pan myth, maybe a little older. So again, early 20s, just exploring the world. It could be something. I'm not going to be totally excited about it, but again, it's Peter Pan. I like Peter Pan. I'm going to check it out. Let me know what you think, guys, okay? Do you think this could be interesting? Would you rather just rewatch Hook? Maybe. Either way, we'll see if the League of Pan is any good or not. So, all right, guys, well, that is it for me today. Of course, I got a full schedule of stuff to do on Tuesday. Gonna go check out a couple movies, actually. Now, the Oscars, of course, were announced this morning, and I watched the live feed. I just got done walking my daughter to school, came home and watched John's show, and I forget the other actress's name. They announced the nominees for the Oscars. I love the Oscars. It's something of prestige that I've really liked. In the last couple of years, I make it a point to make sure I watch all the Best Picture nominees before the Oscars come out. And come to find out, there's 4 that I haven't seen. 2 of them are in theaters. One of them's coming to Redbox soon, and the other one I'll probably see at some point beforehand. The local theater, usually the week before, shows all the Best Picture nominees. Cinemark, I'll go ahead and say it's Cinemark in South Park Meadows, Austin, Texas. I'm not going to do that because I don't have the schedule to go once a night to the movies. Now, tomorrow morning, I'm going to go watch Little Women. Okay, I laughed a little bit when I said that, but I thought the film looked interesting, but I plan on waiting for Redbox. It's nominated for Best Picture. I'll go watch it. Thursday, I'm going to see 1917, which originally was what I thought I was going to go see tomorrow because I actually want to see the film. But Little Women's been out longer. There's more of a chance of it going away sooner. So I'd rather, watch that. 1917 just came out nationwide, so it's going to be around a little longer. Parasite, the other film I haven't seen, I think comes out on home video or Redbox the end of the month. And then the last one, Jojo Rabbit, which I've been dying to see, but my local theaters, both the Cinemark and the Evo near me, have not played it. But like I said, I'll go that one night when it's going to be playing in my Cinemark theater for the Best Picture nominees, and I'll go check it out then. But again, I like the Oscars. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you feel about them. Do you think they're stupid? Do you like watching them? I get more into it, guys. If you've listened to me for a while, last year and I think the year before, I did Oscars picks, where about the week beforehand, I'll go through the categories and give you my picks or who I think will win. Definitely going to do it again this year. Maybe again, try to get a co-host, because that's my whole thing about this year. I'm trying to get some guest co-hosts, be a little more discussion-oriented with all of it. We'll see how it goes, guys. But that's it. I've rambled on enough. Of course, fire back on any of the topics that I have mentioned. And, of course, you can always fire back on the Facebook group, Twitter account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and bring up your own topics that I'll be glad to discuss on the show, or we can just talk about them online. You can find me, Slim Dayspring 12, on Twitter and Instagram. And that's it, guys. Go out, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives, and until next time, may the Force be with us all.